so stale seed brother.
God gives seed to the sower and bread to the eater. So don't ever despise the day of small beginnings. Here's number 4. Champions have a different wisdom. Champions have a different wisdom. You don't have to fool all of the people all the time, Gerald Barzan said. You just have to fool enough to get elected. Josh Billings said that the best way to convince a fool that he is wrong is to let him have his own way. You know, there's some folks that you just can't even tell anything to. You just got to let them go and run their head against the wall and fall off the cliff, do whatever. There's some folks, you know, you try to tell them, but you know, there's certain folks that you just have to just let them have their own way to show them you were wrong. A fool always finds a greater fool to admire him. You'd be surprised. I'm amazed at how gullible some people are. Here's something that my oldest brother said. Thought it was worth repeating, but he said, it is not our circumstance that makes the most difference in life. It's our choices in our circumstances. It's not our circumstances. It's not how you were born that matters, because you determine the way you die. It's not our circumstance that makes the most difference in life. It's our choices in our circumstances. It's our choices in our circumstances. C.S. Lewis said that the next best thing to being wise yourself is to live in a circle of those who are. Champions have a different wisdom. Champions have a different wisdom. They have a different wisdom. Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 20 says, he that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. He didn't even say that you had to have wisdom to walk with wise people. But you've got to at least have enough sense to walk with somebody who's got some sense. And the promise is that if you'll walk with somebody who's got some sense, keep your mouth closed, because you've got one mouth and 2 ears and 2 eyes, so you can do twice as much looking and twice as much listening as you do speaking, and get around somebody wise, soak it in, and learn. He that walks with wise men, she that walks with wise folks shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. The only reason that people choose to be a companion of fools because you're going to have a good time. You will have a good time. There's no question about it. You will have a good time. David was wise enough not to fight Goliath with untested weapons, because champions have a different wisdom. He wouldn't fight Goliath with Saul's weaponry. Saul took all of his armor, his big heavy sword, his big heavy helmet, and all of that, and gave it to David. And David said, you know, he was operating with a different wisdom. David says, listen, I know how to operate my slingshot with some rocks, but I don't know anything about all the heavy stuff. I can't operate. I've never tested that. You don't go to war with untested weapons. That's why he decided to use his sling and his rocks and not a sword. He had to use that he was already comfortable in operating. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Anytime that people are telling you that there's only one way to do it, they are micromanagers who are narrow-minded in their own scope. There's more than one way to get the job done. There's more than one way to get the job done. And so you have to do that which is comfortable for you. Somebody's presenting to you a sophisticated cake plan, but you got a cornbread plan. Go ahead and rock it with your cornbread plan. You don't have all of that sophisticated money in the budget to be able to do everything that they're doing, but you started with what you've got. Use what you've got to get what you want. You got to have some old mother wit. My God, we got a lot of smart folks in the world, but not many wise. A lot of educated folks, but not many wise. A lot of people with degrees, but not many wise. I've never seen so many ignorant folks with master's degrees. We don't just need smart folks, we need wise folks. Folks that got sense enough to come in out of the rain. Folks that know how to pour water out of a boot. Somebody that knows how to put their own hat on for themselves. Strap your own boots on for yourself. We need somebody that's got some sense, that ought to look at some situation and say, listen, I don't have but $10, and you're trying to get me to buy something for $9.95 that I don't even need, telling me that it's on sale because it was $19.95, but I don't even need it. I wasn't born yesterday. I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. Champions have a different wisdom. They do. Can I give you a word of wisdom? Half of the troubles of this life can be traced to people saying yes too quickly and no not soon enough. It's when you say yes too quickly and no not soon enough. Sometimes when you really want wisdom, I'm a seeker after wisdom and truth. And I cannot tell you sometimes how I will just sit out in nature, because the heavens, the earth, they declare the glory of God. And sometimes God, what he created in his omniscience and wisdom and power, they speak to me. God teaches us wisdom through nature. The mountains teach us stability. I look at the mountains. God's like a rock. Stone Mountain was there yesterday, is there today. It'll probably be there tomorrow. Stability. Stability. Mountains teach us stability. When I look at a mountain, it looks like something solid, like prudential, a piece of the rock, because it says stability, stability, stability. The sun and the moon, they teach us faithfulness. The Bible says as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest, summer and winter, the sun and the moon, they come up faithfully on their schedule. They come up, they are faithfully there every day. There's not been one day when the sun has refused to rise. It teaches me the faithfulness of God. The moon coming, faithfulness of God. Whether I can see it or not behind the clouds, I know that it is there. It is the faithfulness in the sun and the moon that teach me faithfulness. The sea, the ocean. The seas, they demonstrate our capacity to change. An ebb and flow. An ebb and flow. When I look at the ocean coming in and going out, that's when stuff seems like it's just crowding in on you and drowning you. It is only for a season. It will wash back out. It lets me know that this trouble didn't come to last. It only came to pass. And every time that I'm looking at the seascape, it lets me know that I have the ability to be able to change and to adapt. And the lines are constantly changing. And that's why I've got to trust him in the midst of the change. And the tiny ant that I observe teaches me teamwork. They teach me dedication. They teach me thrift. They teach me wisdom that will store up in a time of plenty for a time of scarcity. I just learned that wisdom just from observing the ant. Go ye sluggard, and consider the ways of the ant and be wise. Because champions have a different wisdom. Young people may know the rules, but mature people know the exceptions to the rules. It's different that champions operate with a different wisdom. It is wisdom to understand that the pursuit of happiness is the wrong goal. There's so many people just chasing after happiness. Oh, if I could only be happy, in the pursuit of happiness, pursuit of happiness. Listen to me. Happiness always depends on what's happening. And when the happenings are not happening, then you're not happy. I don't have time to be on a seesaw about whether it's happening or not happening. I'm not going to be on an emotional roller coaster. You're looking at a man right now who has never been depressed a day in his life, because I'm not dealing with happiness based on what happens in my life or not. The pursuit of happiness is the wrong goal. You don't become happy by pursuing happiness. You become happy by living the life that you were meant to live, a life that means something. Hell is the loneliness of having everything and knowing that it is still not enough. The same little new house that made you happy at one time will have you cussing in it the next moment. The same new car that had you happy for 2 weeks will have you cussing when you get your bill. Your happiness is based on what you become and the meaning that flows out of your life. May I just say this to you, that no man, no woman chooses evil because it is evil. They only mistake it for happiness. They thought that it would make them happy. that if they could get this good-looking man, that he would make them happy. And it becomes the beginning of sorrows. They thought that if they could get her because she was fine. But little did you know all of the baggage. Oh, they charge you extra for baggage. And sometimes when people want to roll with you, you better count the costs and say, you know what, I can afford to take you. But with all of this other baggage that you're bringing on the trip, it's going to cost you extra. And sometimes you have to stand back and say, you know what, I could give you a ride, but if it were just you, but you got 6 trunks full of, I don't even have room enough to carry you, and so see ya, wouldn't want to be ya, peace out. Champions have a different wisdom. Champions have a different wisdom. Number 5, champions have a different faith. A different faith. Let me define faith for you. Faith is believing that those things that you cannot see will come to pass. Faith is believing that those things that you cannot see will come to pass. Now let me define fear for you. Fear is believing that those things that you cannot see will come to pass. Let me review the definition of faith. Faith is believing that those things that you cannot see will come to pass. Now let me review the definition for fear. Fear is believing that those things that you cannot see will come to pass. Fear is nothing but faith in reverse. Both of them are an expectation. Faith expects the best to happen. Fear expects the worst to happen. But faith is really seeing like God sees. Have the faith to believe that one is never too small a number to make a difference. One is never too small of a number to make a difference. If you think that one is too small of a number to make a difference, you've never had a mosquito in your bed. Just one. Just one. Just one. You've never driven in the car with a gnat. I know some people who's almost killed themselves swatting at one gnat that got in the car, and you're about to make it total your whole car out because one is never too small a number to make a difference. Never too small a number to make a difference. I love what Robert Eldon said. He said that there is not enough darkness in the world to put out the light of even one small candle. You ought to be a light in a dark world. Don't curse the darkness, light a candle. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. You may not be much, but listen, the light of one candle, just one small candle, there's not enough darkness in the world to put out your light. Not enough darkness. Champions have a different faith. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, you take the first step in faith. He said, you don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. Take the first step. His word is a light unto my feet and a lamp unto my pathway. Just take the first step. The evidence of faith is your obedience. Obedience. It is the evidence of your faith. You show me your faith without your works, and I'll show you my faith by my works. You have to have something that says, I believe. Obedience is the real way that you believe. How can I say that I have faith that it won't rain and I'm walking out with an umbrella in my hand? Your action is the thing that has to corroborate your faith. Faith without works is dead, and dead faith does not work. And so you have to be willing sometimes when you get in with faith, you have to be determined. Like the man that got into the telephone booth. And some of you all are old enough to remember when we had telephone booths that you could go into, and there was a big telephone book connected by a metal cord. The man got in at dusk one night, and he was trying to read a number, and he could barely see it, so he held the door of the booth open so that the light coming from the street light would illuminate the page well enough for him to be able to see the number. And a little boy walking down the street said to him, sir, if you will get all the way in and shut the door, a light will come on. And that's what happens in our relationship with God. If you'll get all of the way in, you can't half step. You got to get all of the way in and shut the door. and a light will come on. Some folks have never had the light to come on because they refuse to trust him with everything. They won't trust him all the way. They won't shut the door. And the light does not come on until you get in all the way and shut the door. When you shut the door on past relationships, on doubts, on other habits from the past, when you shut the door on it, a light will come on. Champions have a different faith. They have a different faith. They walk with a different determination in their hearts. I've told you that when you walk with the faith of a champion realizes that it was the blood of Jesus Christ that broke the curse. But a champion who has the proper faith realizes it's not just the blood that breaks the curse. Our problem is not that the curse is not broken, it is that the course is not corrected. And the curse is in the course. And Jesus' blood broke the curse. But if you stay on the same course that grandmama was on that gave her cancer, you stay on that same course with the same diet, with the same lifestyle, with the same stress, you'll have cancer. Even though you're pleading the blood, that the blood broke the curse. Yes, it broke the curse, but you've got to correct the course. And when you champions have a different faith that says, I'm not going that same way. When you have a different faith that causes you to walk in a different direction, you begin to walk not in the ways of the world, not keep on doing the same thing. That's insanity to keep on doing the same thing and expect a different result. You take the courage of the faith that is the vision of God. God shows you a different way, and his word becomes a lamp unto your feet and a light unto your pathway. God just wants to give you enough illumination to know the next step. Wisdom is just knowing the next step. It's knowing the next step. You don't have to see the whole full outcome. It is just knowing the next step to take. All that you need is just the next step. You get that little by little, just one step at a time. When you're working on something, you need to have something that you do every day that brings you a little closer to your destiny. Whether it's writing a letter, sending an email to somebody, setting up a luncheon, thinking through something, reading a book that prepares you, talking with a friend, spending time with a mentor, something every day that's just another step. Just God show me. I don't know how to do this thing all the way, but I just need just another step. If you would just help me, give me another step. Help me to have faith, God. I may not be able to see the whole staircase, but I can see the next step. Have you ever been in a thick fog and all you could see was the next step? You can't see 20 feet ahead of you, but all that you can see is the next step. That's all the light that you need is enough to be able to take the next step. You don't know what the end is going to be. You don't know what the future holds, but you know who holds the future. And he gives you one step at a time. One step. Just walk by faith and not by... Champions have a different faith. Champions have a different faith. Champions have a different faith. Number 6, champions have a different purpose. They have a different purpose. David was filled with righteous indignation because of how Goliath spoke against God and the armies of Israel. And David recognized that Goliath had no covenant with God, but David was passionately committed to God's covenant because purpose produces passion in us. Purpose produces passion in us. Purpose produces passion in you. There's some people whose lives are dull and insipid because they have no passion. Until you have determined what you're willing to die for, you're not even fit to live. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Because champions have a different purpose. They live life with purpose, on purpose, and for purpose. And they understand that it is when I am in pursuit of my purpose that I find my happiness. You find happiness not because you seek after happiness, but because you seek significance through the purpose that God put you in the earth to do. There's something that you ought to be able to say that, God, I know that you put this in me, and I want to die. When I die, I want to die empty because I have expended your purpose that you gave to me in my life. Because God has something on the inside of you. Champions have a different purpose. And number 7, champions have a different initiative. They have a different initiative. David didn't sit at home and just wait for something to happen. He didn't sit at home waiting for his ship to come in. He went after it. They have a different initiative. Winning starts with beginning. Winning starts with beginning. If you don't get started, you can't get finished. Getting started is half the battle. There's some folks that just can't even get the energy to get up and start busting the dishes down in their kitchen. Washing, getting a load of clothes down. They look at it and they become exasperated. They don't even have the energy to get started. So stuff piles up. It gets worse and worse and worse and worse because they don't have any initiative. No one really knows what it is to live until they can truly say these 11 great verbs of life. I am. I am. Write down I am. I am is the power of self-knowledge. If you don't know who you are in God, you're going to suffer. I am. You got to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, you'll misbehave. The devil will trick you out of your identity and make you act like one of his children because you don't realize your identity in him. I am. I am. These are 11 powerful verbs that help you to even know who you are because you have a different initiative. I think is the power to investigate. I think. This is the power to investigate. Always investigate before you invest. I think. Don't just go by what the status quo is. Don't just go based on what somebody told you. You're an intelligent being. God gave you the capacity to be able to think. Animals can't think. They operate on instinct, but we have the ability to think. We think. The power to investigate. The power to investigate. Then write this down. I know. This is the power to master facts. The power to master facts. There ought to be some things that you know. The Bible teaches in Proverbs 11:9 that the righteous are delivered through knowledge. There's something that you ought to know. I know the power to master facts. Here's the next one. I feel. It is the power to appreciate. It is the power to value. It is the power to love. I feel. I know people who live life and have no passion. They have no feeling. They take no initiative. Here's the next one. I wonder. This is the power of reverence. Oh, Lord my God, I behold you in awesome wonder. I just wonder. The power of reverence, of curiosity, of worship. I wonder. Then here's the next one. I see. This is the power of insight. The power of insight. This is the power of imagination. This is the power of vision. I see. Then the next one, I believe. This is the power of adventurous faith. You got to take initiative to believe something. I believe. The power of adventurous faith. I believe. The next one is simply, I can. This is power to act and skill to accomplish. Power to act and skill to accomplish. I can. Then the next one is I ought. This is the power of conscience, the moral imperative of what you know that you ought to do. I ought. You ought to have some things that drive you because you ought to do it. Doing what you know that you should do, what you ought to do, when you ought to do it, whether you feel like it or not, taking the initiative of I ought. The next one is I will, the most powerful language. Two words in the English language, I will. That's willpower, that's loyalty to duty, that is consecration. I will. And then I serve. We're not brought here to be served, we're brought here to serve. That's power to be useful, devotion to a cause. David asked the question, is there not a cause? He didn't wait for somebody to send for him. David went down to the battle and volunteered himself. He went down to the battle and volunteered himself. You don't have to be great to start, but you've got to start in order to be great. You've got to have initiative. Stop being the first to know and the last to act, because getting started is half the battle. And if you're going to be a champion, you're going to have to start taking initiative to say, I see a fight that needs to be fought, and I'm volunteering for the fight. I'm in this thing for the long haul. I'm going to see God do something great in my life. I want to be a champion for him. And that real champion spirit is really nothing but the spirit of the character of the Holy Spirit on the inside of you, that will say that I'll take the initiative to do it, because we always sit back and wait on somebody else to do it. And bad things happen when good people do nothing. And if not now, when? If not you, who? You start where you are and use what you've got and allow God to make a champion out of you. There's a champion on the inside of you that's rising up. It is a champion that is in you that refuses to let you quit. I know that you want to throw in the towel, and there have been so many times that you said, I'm sick of this. I'm tired of serving folks, and the very people that you have tried to help, they hurt you. They stab you in the back. They act as though what you have tried to do to try to help them meant absolutely nothing to you. And sometimes you wonder, is what I am doing even making a difference in anybody's life? I don't know anybody who's ever served people who at some points or another been tempted to quit. I know some who've already resigned and said, Lord, that's it. I'm finished. Lord, these people that thou hast given to me, your people, Lord, And they wanted to resign on him and said, God, you take them. You take them. You take them. That's not even for me. You take them. You take them. There's something that God wants to be able to have on the inside of you, to where you have the wisdom of a champion, where you have the perspective of a champion, the courage of a champion. He wants you to be able to take on the whole nature of a profile of a champion, so that God raises in you that which is not afraid even to fail, because you win some and you learn some. A champion rises up and says that I know that this is not the best of who I am. And failure is an event, never a person, to where you never associate yourself with the thing that happened to you. God really wants to do something awesome in your life. Every head bowed, every eye closed, nobody walking, as we just reverence God in this place. If you're in this place today and you don't know Jesus Christ and the pardon of your sin, but you really want to know him, you've tried so many times to do things and make it work and you fail. Champions are not those who never fail, they're those who never quit. And you need the champion of champions, the same spirit that was in David that made a champion out of a shepherd boy. He wasn't supposed to be that. Have you ever felt that I don't really have the education to be the champion? I don't have the skill, I don't have the training. Who am I? Look at the background that I came from. And you've almost allowed the devil to discount you from being a champion. You got to know who you are in God, that you are a king's kid, that there is greatness on the inside of you, and that a whole different perspective of God will rise up in your life. Some of you have been givers and givers. Some of you have gotten angry with God because you know that God could have stopped something from happening, but he didn't. And I just want to remind you that there are times that God will deliver you from the fiery furnace, and then there are other times that God will make you fireproof. You don't know why he let you go through what you went through, but it was so that you would become who and what God wanted you to become. That's why Maya Angelou could say, I wouldn't take nothing for my journey. I wouldn't take a thing for my journey. It was what I've been through that made me who I am.
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop.